Speaking with Confidence. The podcast helps you build the soft skills that lead to real results: communication, storytelling, public speaking, and showing up with confidence in every conversation that counts. I'm Tim Newman, a recovering college professor turned communication coach, and I'm thrilled to guide you on a journey to becoming a powerful communicator. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. This episode, I want to give you 3 steps to crush imposter syndrome. Raise your hand if you ever thought, someone's going to call me out at any minute now. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. Studies show that up to 82% of people struggle with imposter syndrome at some point, even when their work is strong and others see their value. I felt it too. There were days I questioned if I was qualified to share my ideas, no matter how much I prepared. But authentic communicators aren't confident because they're perfect. They build confidence by mastering a process, a combination of structure, authentic voice, and tracking small wins that turn self-doubt into real momentum. So let's start with the first pillar, the way you structure your message. There was a day I stood in front of a class, fully prepared with facts, only to have my nerves take control and I threw up. It wasn't a lack of knowledge that got me, it was the absence of a structure. When ideas don't have a framework to support them, self-doubt finds its way in. Even seasoned speakers can stumble when they're improvising without a plan. Research from psychologist Jerome Bruner shows that people remember stories 22 times better than bare facts. That's because stories give information shape and meaning. Think about how much more confident you feel when following a clear recipe versus vague instructions. For example, if a cooking video just says, add some spices to taste, you're left guessing. But if it says, the first time I made curry, it was awful until I learned these 3 exact measurements, you know exactly what to do and why. That's the power of a narrative with structure. The 3-act structure is a tool that solves this gap. Act 1 sets the stage. You introduce the context and the people involved. Act 2 brings in the challenge or conflict, building tension and keeping your audience invested. And Act 3 delivers the resolution, tying everything together and leaving your audience with a sense of closure. This framework isn't just for movies or novels. It's used by top YouTube creators to break down complex topics, analyze trends, or share personal stories in a way that feels natural and engaging. Having a structure to rely on gives you a psychological safety net. Cognitive psychology tells us that when we organize our ideas, the brain feels more in control and anxiety drops. That's why confident communicators aren't born. They're made through repetition and practice with frameworks like this. The more you use structure, the less you find yourself second-guessing. You're too focused on guiding your audience through a purposeful journey. It's easy to believe that true experts don't need to prepare, but the reality is just the opposite. Preparation and structure don't make you less authentic. They let you focus on your message instead of battling the nerves. And with a solid framework, your message has bones. Now it's time to give it character, with your voice and your perspective. Finding a voice that truly stands out starts with letting go of that idea you have to sound a certain way. My biggest communication breakthrough happened when I stopped trying to sound professional. That polished, button-up tone we think we're supposed to use might feel safe, but it strips away everything that makes us memorable. The voice people connect with lives where your favorite phrases, your core values, and your lived experiences intersect. And when you focus on what makes you different, more people actually connect with you. 2 people might share the same productivity tips, but one could say, I grew up with severe ADHD and systems saved my sanity, while another one says, I had to unlearn everything from corporate life to build a routine that fits me. Neither is right, neither is wrong, but both are far more memorable than a generic how-to list. And it turns out audiences are looking for this kind of authenticity. According to Adobe, 67% of people value authenticity over production quality when it comes to digital content. People can tell when someone suddenly starts using words like synergy or innovative that don't match their usual style. That's when viewers call it out for feeling forced. They notice when something feels rehearsed, but they also notice when it's raw and real. To start uncovering your own uncopyable voice, try this. Record yourself explaining something you know really well. Then transcribe it word for word. Look for how you naturally transition between ideas, the metaphors that come from your background, and the moments where your energy shifts. For example, if you find yourself using food metaphors because you grew up in a restaurant, or sports analogies because you played in school, those are your signature moves. Now, take it a step further by identifying the emotional core behind your story. Was it joy, frustration, relief, or fear? Recognizing these emotional threads, as storytelling research suggests, is what makes your content stick. And the quickest way to erase your voice is by filtering out what feels too personal. That story where you bombed in front of a client, with that opinion your industry sidesteps, that's the gold. Your voice isn't something you find, it's what you stop hiding. The more you let your quirks and real stories show, the more your presence becomes unmistakable. And when you pair structure with a voice that's unmistakably yours, you build trust and connection. But real confidence comes from seeing progress in action, not just hoping you're on the right track. And that's where the next piece comes in. Recognizing and tracking small wins is key to making real progress as a communicator. We often think progress only matters when we achieve something big, like delivering a flawless presentation, getting public praise, or closing the deal. But our brains are wired to respond to much smaller moments. Each time you notice a minor improvement, your brain gives you a hit of dopamine, reinforcing the behavior and motivating you to keep going. Behavioral psychology shows that these micro wins are what make new habits stick, turning one good moment into the start of a lasting pattern. A study by Harvard's Teresa Amabile and Stephen Kramer found that feeling a sense of progress, even from small steps, significantly increases engagement and motivation at work. Similarly, a recent classroom action research study found that students who received structured feedback and tracked their own growth experienced a 30% boost in confidence. The lesson is clear. Tracking the little things you do right matters. Most people wait to feel confident until they achieve a major milestone. But confidence grows when you start noticing the small things you're getting better at. Maybe you stay calm during a tough question. Maybe a colleague nodded as you explained your idea. Or maybe you paused instead of filling the silence with nervous chatter. These moments are proof you're moving forward. Let's say you're working hard to be a better listener. Don't just measure progress by whether people say, "You're a great communicator." Track the moments. "I didn't interrupt once in that meeting," or "I reflected the words back before sharing my opinion." Those are communication wins. Stack up enough of them, and big outcomes will follow. To make this process actionable, focus on 3 types of communication wins. There are technical wins, and technical wins might look like you're slowing your pacing or reducing filler words. Then there are connection wins, and these could be someone leaning in or asking a thoughtful follow-up. And then there are personal wins, and these show up when you walk away thinking, "That sounded like me." By naming and noticing these wins, you create measurable proof of your growth. And the real shift happens when you connect these small wins back to the structure and voice you've been developing. A smoother delivery points to your structure. A genuine reaction from your audience means your voice is resonating. And the more you track these moments, the less you rely on outside validation and the more you see your own progress. As these small wins accumulate, they start to interact with everything else you've built, setting off a chain reaction that transforms not just your communication, but your confidence itself. When structure, voice, and small wins work together, you begin to see communication as more than just isolated skills. And this is the confidence flywheel, a self-reinforcing system where each element fuels the next. Structure gives you clarity, which makes your delivery smoother. That smoother delivery gives you the space to express your authentic voice. When your voice resonates, you notice genuine feedback. Small wins like a nod, a thoughtful comment, or someone reinforcing your words later. These wins, in turn, strengthen your confidence and motivate you to keep building your skills. The cycle is simple. Structure leads to voice, voice leads to feedback, feedback leads to wins, and those wins feed back into your structure. You can see this flywheel in action in real-world examples. For instance, a study by Tiffany and colleagues found that students learning English who practice storytelling techniques not only improved their speaking skills, but also reported a noticeable boost in their confidence. Their structure allowed them to organize their thoughts, their voice came through in personal stories, and each small success, like finishing a story or getting a positive reaction, made them more willing to try again. Each part of the system supported the others, making progress feel tangible. Many people try to build confidence by focusing on just one part of the system. But that's like trying to ride a bike with one pedal. You might move, but you're not going to get very far. The biggest pitfalls come from breaking the cycle. First, comparison. Measuring your early attempts against someone else's polished results. To avoid this, set a no compare rule. Focus on your progress, not someone else's highlight reel. Second, dismissing small wins because they don't feel significant. Counter this by writing down every minor improvement after each attempt. And third, over-polishing your delivery to a point where it feels unnatural. Instead, challenge yourself to share one unfiltered story or moment in each piece of content. Sharing your struggles and imperfections rather than hiding them actually builds trust. And when you talk about blanking out in a meeting or stumbling over your words, you invite your audience to see the real process behind growth. And these honest moments show that progress is possible and that confidence isn't about flawless performance. It's about showing up and improving over time. As you keep the flywheel turning, refining your structure, finding your voice, and celebrating small wins, you build a kind of confidence that lasts. And that's especially important when self-doubt creeps in, because it means you're invested in doing your best work. Your imposter syndrome isn't a weakness. It's a sign that you care about doing things well. That uneasy feeling, it's not proof that you're unqualified. It's actually your sensitivity to quality trying to break through. Instead of fighting it, use it. Today, pick one small step. Organize a story using a 3-act structure so your message flows better. Practice speaking out loud without editing yourself to hear your real voice. Or pause to recognize a small communication win, like making someone lean in or ask a follow-up question. Research shows that people connect more with communicators who share the messy middle and not just the polished end result. The speakers we remember most aren't the ones who seem perfect. They're the ones who stay real while still aiming high. Remember, we're looking for progress, not perfection. That's all for today. Be sure to visit speakingwithconfidencepodcast.com to get your free ebook, Top 21 Challenges for Public Speakers and How to Overcome Them. You can also register for the Forming for Public Speaking course. Always remember, your voice has the power to change the world. We'll talk to you next time. Take care.